Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the United States of America, about Washington. The White House announced this Thursday the meeting between the President of United States of America, Joe Biden, and President of Ukraine, Zelensky. Obviously, these two persons will talk about Ukraine, about conflict with Russia, and about the ways and the steps how the Western countries and the NATO countries can reinforce and increase the power of Ukraine. And according to information we have, the NATO countries have already agreed to support and to provide additional Patriot systems, additional air defense systems to Ukraine, with the purpose to create a no-fly zone over Lvov and over the western part of Ukraine. So this is a very important step because obviously the Western countries need to improve their logistics. They need to send F-16s on the territory of Ukraine, but currently they can't do this because the Russians are bombing the territory of Ukraine non-stop, and furthermore without any resistance from the Ukrainian side. So once again, the NATO countries first of all wants to create no-fly zone for the possibility to redeploy F-16s to the western part of Ukraine. The second thing, the Western countries and NATO countries wants to move production of weapon and munition to the western part of Ukraine. And obviously, if NATO countries ever wants to be sure that at least half of Ukraine should stay in NATO and under European Union protection, NATO protection, they need to start doing these small steps from the western part of Ukraine towards Dnieper River and maybe even further in the eastern direction. And as for the Russians, today, for example, we got additional updates about fire anomalies and results of Russian strikes. We got at least 4 or even more geolocations confirming lots of fire anomalies in the central and the southern part of Ukraine. This is the first fire anomaly in Poltava area. This is the second one a little bit to the south. Few more fire anomalies were spotted in the vicinity of Nikolaev, in the vicinity of Nikolaev airfield. In this, for example, photo, we can see the difference before and after the Russian missile strike, and the sources reported that the Russians managed to destroy air defense system, but we still haven't received any geolocations or video confirming this, just some changes on the satellite image. And this, for example, short video, we can see the difference between a Russian attack and after in some industrial zone in the city by the name of Dnipro. So we see that Ukrainians have no air defense. Ukraine has no air defense at all, or those air defense systems they have is not enough to cover and protect the entire territory. And now the main talks and the main discussions during the NATO summit is not the talks about joining NATO or European Union, but first of all, of course, to send as many as possible air defense systems that NATO countries have. As for the Russians, we got also a very interesting report that today, according to information we have, the Prime Minister of India, Modi, arrived with let's say, visit to Russia. They had a very interesting conversation with Putin. And according to official information we have, it is becoming increasingly difficult for Washington to isolate Vladimir Putin, was written by Bloomberg, while NATO leaders gathers in the US capital in the hope of presenting a united front against Russia. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi hugs Putin in Moscow. We have already received some reaction from the United States of America. They, for example, they are very upset with this meeting. US criticized India and is concerned about strengthening its ties with Russia. So this is of course official statement, official information, but I decided to use this piece of news today in this update because, for example, some sources who says that they are very related to the situation of between Russia and India relations reported that the main purpose why Modi arrived in Russia to start negotiations with Russia is that the things that India can't pay Russia for oil they bought since the beginning of the special military operation. According to information we have, India is the biggest buyer of Russian oil and Russian, let's say, things and products of oil production. And due to the sanctions and due to the difficulties, India can't pay Russia because the United States of America warned India that if they pay, they're gonna get sanctions, they're gonna get under the sanctions list as well. So the thing is that India buys Russia oil for for a very, very low price. So currently India's debt is around 40 billions, but if India were buying Russian oil according to the real prices, so let's say that Western countries are selling oil to each other, India would have a debt of around 140 billions. So of course this is a very good situation for India to grow, to get better situation conditions. So of course this is the reason Modi arrived to Moscow to ask Putin not to stop the deal, that India will find a solution how to pay Moscow its money, and because Putin also see that he sell oil for a very low price, but he doesn't get anything from India. So this is, according to some sources who are very related to the situation, is the main reason why Modi arrived in Russia, just to discuss and to ask Putin not to stop Russia to sell oil for a very low price to India itself. Now let's move to the situation on the ground. We have lots of very interesting updates, and first we're going to talk about Kharkiv direction. The Russians reported that during the previous 24 hours, for the first time since the battle for Liptsy and this area, the Ukrainians used drone swarm tactics. The Russians are saying that during the previous few days, the Ukrainians used the biggest number of drones ever in this direction, and probably these tactics gave some results to Ukrainians. Because if you remember, the Ukrainians managed to at least improve and to restore control over around 40% of the village of Gluboka. And furthermore, the Ukrainians established complete fire and FPV drone control over the main supply roads that goes to the same village. So let's wait for additional updates. Now let's move to Volchansk direction. We have additional changes on the map, as you can see. The Ukrainian sources published the video, more precisely the forces of 82nd Brigade of Armored Forces of Ukraine published the video of how they were FPV droning the Russians in this part of Volchansk. And based on this video, we have adjusted the map and returned this territory under complete Russian control. If you remember, a few weeks ago, there were posts from different neutral mappers about Ukraine control over this territory, but as you can see, that information didn't find its confirmation on the ground and with geolocations. Now let's talk about probably the most important updates about the situation along Vovchi River to the south of Volchansk aggregating plant. More and more sources, more and more pro-Russian sources confirm information that the Russians did manage to cross Vovchi River and that the Russians are trying to dig in deeper in this part of Volchansk. Of course, this is one of the most important updates, one of the most important piece of news. Of course, we need more details, more geolocations, and more information from more reliable sources about the changes on the map. But once again, if this information is correct, we see that the Russians are trying to change the game in Volchansk, and while the Ukrainians were trying to counterattack the Russians in this area, in the northern part, or to unblock the main supply road, the Russians managed to conduct a very successful, probably unexpected operation, and now are trying to expand their positions in the southern part of Volchansk. On the other hand, the Russians also published another video of results of conducting operation, of the results of reconnaissance operation along Vovchi River in the villages like Bachkova, Agrimovka, Zybina. In this video, for example, we can see that the Russians managed to discover another engineering equipment along Vovchi River that Ukrainians were trying to use to create a bridge, and as a result of Lancet strike, that vehicle was destroyed. So we see the Ukrainians continue building or attempts to build bridges with the purpose to concentrate more forces on the Russian side of Vovchi River. Now let's move further in Kupyansk direction. We have additional updates from Sinkovka, Petropavlovka area. The Russians, as a result of offensive operation, managed to improve their positions according to pro-Ukrainian mappers. Yet we haven't received any details or videos or geolocations confirming neither this progress of armed forces of Russian Federation nor of this. But summarizing everything, we see that the Russians are in an active offensive operation with the purpose to get as close as possible to Petropavlovka. As for Pishane, the Russian sources reported that there is a real operation operational crisis among the Ukrainian soldiers and forces. We have reports that some Ukrainian soldiers and forces and units have already abandoned their positions in Pyshanovka and moved in direction of Oskol River. We don't know for sure about brigades, what brigades decided to do this, or how many forces have left their positions and moved to Oskol. Don't know yet, but most likely, if it's true, if this information is correct, that means that the Russians and the Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation sooner or later will confirm Russian control over this territory, or additional control. Now let's move to Chasiv Yar direction. We haven't received almost anything from this area. The clashes, there are very heavy clashes. The Russians conducting reconnaissance operation, the central part, trying to get as many as possible liquid targets and to destroy them. Very interesting details and reports are coming from New York. Today we got report that the Russians managed to significantly improve their positions inside of Petrovska Gora. At least this information was confirmed by pro-Ukrainian mappers Deep State. We don't know for sure whether the Russians managed to do this and where exactly the real Russian positions, but obviously we see that the progress of the armed force Russian Federation is significant, and the clashes are taking place for Petrovska Gora, and the most important is that the Russians, almost without any resistance, managed to establish complete control over high-rise area of this small block, which is very important. Now let's move further. In the western Avdiivka direction, we have some changes on the ground. According to pro-Ukrainian mappers, the Russians managed to improve their positions further in direction of Vovcha and basically to cut the main supply road that Ukrainians were using to support the rest of the garrison inside of Yevgeniivka with Vovcha. As for Novosyolovka-Persha, there are very heavy clashes, mainly for the main stronghold that located in the northeastern part of the town. The Russians still haven't managed to establish complete control over this territory, but it's just a matter of time. Now let's talk about Karlovka. Today we got the first geolocations and first video confirmations of how the Russians established complete control over the main supply roads that Ukrainians still use to support their forces in the northern Karlovka dachas. So just on this video we can see this small pass between Vovcha and Karlovka water reservoir. This is the territory, and the video shown the fly of the Russian drone and how the Russians were attacking the vehicles, positions of Ukrainians in this territory. So, of course, due to this complete control over the main supply roads, it's also just a matter of time when the Ukrainians will decide to abandon their positions from this area as well. So, let's wait a few more days and this battle will be finished, obviously. As for the South Donetsk direction, as we discussed in the previous updates, the Russians managed to physically cut the road TO524, currently just with the forces of sabotage groups, and during the previous few days the Russians conducted another massive attack, a massive assault attempt with significant number of armored vehicles and tanks. The video was published by the 79th Brigade, and according to this video the Russians suffered significant loss, at least among the material part, among the assets. So we don't have, let's say, videos of how the Ukrainians were destroying Russian infantry, just armored vehicles that most likely was abandoned during that attack. So a lot of destroyed vehicles, and according to geolocations, according to the coordinates, we can make a conclusion that the Russians were trying to attack the eastern part of Konstantinovka with the purpose to enter this territory and to establish more or less reliable foothold in the borders of the town itself. So this is the first defense belt, and if the Russians are able to capture, then it's going to be the beginning of the battle for the main logistic hub, and after the battle for Konstantinovka everything should become a little bit faster than it is right now. As for Kherson direction, as for Zaporozhye, we haven't received anything. And another important update that I would like to discuss with you to finish the video is the information that we got from Saudi Arabia. Saudis warned G7 against Russia's seizure with death cell threat. This is very important information because we see that regarding the fact that the Western countries in the European Union are trying to isolate Russia, they can't do this because there are too many countries, too many people who has common interest with Russia. We have India, we have China, we have Saudi Arabia, we have a lots of countries, and we see that all these problems that Western countries in European Union try to create to Russia makes all these countries to unite and to fight and to stand all together. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, share my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.